So in this video, I am going out on the water in my kayak, and I am basically trying out this new rod and reel. Actually, the footage on the kayak's a little older. I actually lost this rod on the Tuckasegee River, and I bought another one, and here it is. But I just want to do a little intro here. This is the Martin fly rod combo that you can get online on Amazon. There should be a link down below in the video. And I think the first time I got it for like 22 bucks or something. I think this time the price has gone up a little bit, 26 or something. The thing is awesome. So watch the video. I talk about it. And it also comes with a set of flies. So it's got everything in here. Popper, kind of like a woolly bugger kind of fly. Just a set of them. And they're pretty good. It's good first selection that you can try out. And I'd start out with a popper, go out and get some bluegill, tear it up. Watch the video. Yeah, out here today, early morning, and I tried out my new Martin fly rod that I got for 21 bucks on Amazon Prime. So I'll show you this rod. This is it right here. It's a decent rod, actually. The reel, I like the reel. A lot of people are going to complain the fact it doesn't have drag. You know, a lot of issues like that. But to me, I'm going, are you kidding me? This is $21. I don't know what people are expecting. When I first fly fished, I was in North Carolina. I had just moved up there years ago, and a guy there that was a guide told me all you need the reel for is to hold the line. You don't need anything else. You don't need to use it like a reel. You can basically pull the line through, hold the line, and just when you're bringing in a fish, you're holding the line and you're pulling it and you're using your hands to bring that fish in, and you don't need all that fancy stuff because originally they didn't have it. So this is what the guy was telling me. And he was a guide in North Carolina for years, and so I basically bought a cheap rod and reel from him years ago, so I did the same thing this time, and I gotta tell you, compared to that rod, I used that one for years. I'm pretty pleased with this one. The quality's higher today than it was back then in the early 90s. The line on here seems a little light if you're trying to cast way out. The one that comes standard with that Martin online. It's about a $22, like I said, $21, $22 reel. I think it was a 2-day shipping thing. It was a Prime item, and I think it's pretty good. I might put a different size line on it. It had a leader on it. It's pretty good. I put a tippet on it too, and I think the tippet's a little too long that I put on there. So I think I need to shorten that down closer to the, pretty short tippet, because the leader's pretty long. But that line just seems a little light if you're trying to really cast it out there. I just wasn't able to really get a lot of distance with this line. But, I was really straining to kind of get it going out there, just doing an 11-to-1 kind of action. So, but I kind of put the rod back up because I don't think it's the action I'm really looking for. I think I need to get that heavier line. So I'm going to switch over right now to going to do some bass fishing. I got a watermelon with a chartreuse, which is my typical go-to starting out. And I'm going to do that using my bait caster. This is a really old Quantum E400 reel I have that's beat up all the crap on this cheap, well, it was cheap when I bought it at Walmart, Berkeley Cherrywood HD rod, which is not a great rod. Medium heavy. I mean, it's decent. It works for me. I like it, but it's kind of made for a line that's 10 to 20 pound. I always look for that heavier, because if you're fishing in Florida, you kind of want to be ready for bigger fish, and sometimes we go down there. So, but up here in Virginia, I don't think I really need this kind of rod. Anyhow, gonna do a little fishing this morning. Hey, so started to give the Martin again another try. From sitting down, I was standing up the first time when I was using it. A little awkward. I'm in the Jackson Coosa, the original Jackson Coosa. It's got a little bit less stability for sure than the HD, 32 inches wide I think versus 34 in the HD. So, but it works fine actually. You get pretty stable quick, but it works okay. But I'm sitting down now casting this Martin, and I just feel a lot better sitting down casting it. It just feels good. Feels real good. The line is a little light. I mean, I'm not going to be able to reach way out there, but I think I just come up off the edge within a decent distance here, probably about 20 feet or so, and I can really get out there with this, and I feel much better sitting down. It's crazy than standing up, and I'm not saying I'm getting any bites right now, but I think I'm just going to enjoy, casting and getting back into fly fishing. I haven't done it in a while since I lost my rod, and it feels really good. So I'm going to do that for a little while. Hey, I wanted to say a little more on this. If you haven't fly fished and you like to fly fish and you kayak fish also, this is kind of maybe it's pushing towards kayak fishermen, but if you haven't fly fished, I recommend getting this Martin online. It's very affordable. Man, something's weird with this thing. Here, let's get it set up to where you can actually see me. And I have no problems with it. There were people that were pretty critical of it, I imagine, because they're used to a better rod, or they find out afterwards that they could have paid more and got drag on it or something. But I think it works fine. I'm enjoying already. But if you're a kayak fisherman, I would recommend getting this and trying it out. Just learn how to, go from, 11, go from 11 to 1 back and forth, slowly letting out your line. Start out with a nice, you're not too short a line. You got to have enough of your line out there, not just your leader, or you're just not going to get anywhere with it. But go out here and give it a shot. If you have to, go get like in a john boat and practice it, or go get on a dock or out somewhere where you can really stretch out and practice it the 11 to 1. I know people talk about 10 to 2. Some people say 10 to 2 is too open and you're not gonna have a tight enough throw, and that is true. That 10 to 2 may not work, but the reality is when you're in different fishing situations, tight situations, you're gonna make some adjustments. So anyhow, go get you a fly rod and enjoy yourself. Oh yeah, first fish on the fly rod. This is great. I'm freaking ecstatic about this. Look at this. Thinking, yeah, this is great. Love it. First fish on the fly rod in my kayak, that is. Obviously, I fished for years before this, but this is great. Nice little bluegill here. Look at him hitting that little popper. Little guy right there, look at him. That's freaking fantastic. Oh, that feels so good. Catch that first one. It's been a long time since I've fished with my fly rod. I have been in this lake before with my fly rod a long time ago out of on the dock. But to come out here and fish it and get one is just fantastic. I'm just ecstatic. So this is great. I'm getting pumped now. So let's go after another one. Just got to hit the right spots. So when you're out here with your fly rod and your kayak, you might get a little frustrated with any amount of wind, just moving you around. Because when you have your your lines out, pulled out, you've got it everywhere. There's a lot of things to get hooked onto. That's why I'm in this Jackson Coosa. They make like a boat for Jackson that's really designed for guys that fly fish. So you can't hang up on everything. I've got two rods. I got one on this side, one on this side. you know, sitting there in the positions that they have in the Coosa to kind of put those rods on the sides. And so like my rod tips are out there, they're getting, you know, lines are getting kid. I still have my baits hanging off of them. So you can get your fly rod line getting hooked on everything. And that's one of the things you don't want to get frustrated with when you first start is all this line. You're going to learn how to manage your line. And just be patient. I think fly fishing is one of these things that you really have to, it teaches you to be patient. So don't get too frustrated with it, you know, right off the bat. And with the wind, like I was starting out talking about, just find yourself a nice little cove somewhere. Try to get out of the wind if you can. If it's driving you crazy and you can't stay in the position where you want to be. And then when the wind dies down, move out into points and stuff when you can. Or try to get around the cove and fish the angle on the point a little different. But just be patient with it. Fly fishing is not something you just get you know, you can't have patience with. You have to have patience with it. But once you learn it, it's freaking great. And so I want to talk about something real quick about when you're in your kayak and you're sitting, and if you want to just sit down and fly fish, I think the best way to do it is get your leader out there, your tippet, and then have a little bit of line and line up the front of your boat where you want to fish. And basically you're holding your extra line here and you've got your rod, and you basically just lay a little bit out there and then come back to 1 o'clock, let the line get all the way stretched out, and then do that spring effect with your wrist and bring it forward. And you will, and only bring it to about 11 o'clock. At first, like pop it to 11 and come down. You'll feel yourself, you'll get the rhythm about how to basically hold that tip of that rod and get it on that last cast where you're basically laying out the line. You're going to bring it out, pop it back at 11 o'clock, go forward and bring it down, and you'll just lay that line out. But what you have to really learn, or you're going to get very frustrated, is that delay in letting the line stretch all the way out before you come forward. If you do it early, when it comes out forward, it's going to get all bunched up. It's not going to get stretched out and where you want it to be. So have patience with that. And I'll give you some more tips later. Here we go. Got one. Number 2. Let some slack up. He's going to get off. Getting tangled up here in my line. Oops. Luckily he's still on there. I got a good hook on this popper. He's on there. Alright. You can see I'm using... there we go. I'm just pulling the line instead of using the reel. Uh-oh. He swallowed that thing down. Let's see if we can get this guy out of here. Oh Lord, what'd you do? Oh, you really got that in there, didn't you? There we go. My technique on getting that guy out, it was a little bit deeper down in his throat as I just used my finger and kind of punched it back because his mouth was so teeny. And I didn't want to use my hemostat on it because I was worried sometimes when you try to grab those little poppers, that basically the paint around it it's very brittle. It'll break off easily. You get that metal around it, you try to work that popper, you'll just tear up that popper. So what I did is I just took my finger and kind of pushed that popper back, that hook out a little bit, because he had taken it a little deeper, and because the mouth is so small I really can't maneuver my fingers, and then it just kind of pulled right out. So that worked out good. Right now I'm bringing the line in manually by pulling it in. I'm going to try reeling one in with the reel itself here in a second, but I'm doing old school on this, and just bringing it in manually. That's cool, catching another fish. Oh, gotta get this line in. Shit, I'm about to pee my pants. Damn it. God dog it. Pee my pants. Gotta pee my pants. Oh Lord, I gotta get over there. I'm about to wet my pants. Gotta take a whiz. Time to go hit a tree over here. One of the things I'm doing to move from spot to spot with this fly rod is you don't feel like reeling it all the way in enough to kind of hook it onto your rod, you know, the bait, and have it tight and sit the rod down and go to your next spot. So what I've been doing is kind of leaving the line out and kind of plopping the rod down in my lap, kind of sticking down to the full bore of the kayak and out behind me. And I'm just kind of dragging the line behind me with the fly out there. And, you know, for all I know, maybe I'll get something that'll hit it. I'll notice it because the line will start to go out. It'll be no big deal. But it's just an easier way to kind of keep that where the line and the leader attached. Sometimes when you're trying to pull that out through the eyelets, it can get stuck on the end. Now I do a very slight jiggle to try to and pull on it to try to get it through. That last eyelet's always the hardest. But if you want to leave that line out past the last eyelet on your rod, it's easiest just to kind of leave it dragging behind you, move kind of to your next spot or back into your position or a different position, and then kind of, you know, get your rod back and start going. Plus your line's already all the way out there behind you. Kind of makes it easier to kind of get it started. So just a little tip from moving from spot to spot. Oh, yeah, that's it. All right. Come here. Oh shit, you let it loose. Damn. Damn, I had that thing almost in my hand. I was pulling the line up, kind of pulling it. This is a little lesson learned. I had that thing pulling them up and gonna get my rod up higher to grab him. So I just grabbed the line for a second and he flipped it. And man, that thing let loose because that tension. And boy, it really, that hook came up and popped my hand. So he got off. Damn, that hurt. That hook almost, well, it didn't hurt that bad, but the hook almost went all the way up in there, past that barb. That was, my line's getting a little twisted here. Gotta let this thing spin out. See that? Gotta let that thing, it's got a little twisted that time. See him spinning? The line got a little twisted. Gotta let that thing work itself back out. Oh well, didn't actually get to grab a hold of that one. So I got another tip for you. When you're out here doing this fly fishing, it's new to you and you're sitting in the kayak. If you're doing the kayak sitting down, like it's what I'm doing today, be patient with it. Of course, I've mentioned that, but if the wind starts kicking up really bad, either get yourself to a calm area if you're learning, and so you don't have to deal with, you know, so much frustration, because you have to learn. You know, it's good to have a good, you know, nice calm situation, no wind, because otherwise you're just going to get real frustrated, and you could just even say screw this kind of fishing. Let this be a gradual introduction when you go into it. You know, don't let yourself get in a position where the situation's going to make you frustrated and you never want to do it again, because you know there's this mystique around fly fishing. It's almost like it's zen or something, and that's not by accident. It's not by design. It's just a fact of the way it is. It is a very almost spiritual thing to do when you fly fish, and once you get in the rhythm of it, it's a beautiful thing. And I got another technique to talk to you about. One thing I do with my kayak is I hold my rod and I try to keep the reel part right lined up with me. And when I'm bringing the line back, I try to bring it back. And when it starts to come back, my tip of my rod's kind of moving slightly out in a slight circle, because I'm trying to keep that line, that lure, from coming back, and my my leader and my tippet all getting, you know, hung up. Oh shit, I'm running out of power, so looks like we're off. So that video ended rather abruptly. So that ran out of power. But anyhow, that was me going out showing the Martin fly rod. Great little rod just to get out and start doing it. I'd say go on. Look down below in the link. I'll have a link to that rod. So if you're interested in getting it, I would highly recommend it if you just want to get out and start playing around. If you're interested in more fly fishing videos, just put comments down below. If you have any comments about the video, definitely put that there. If you like it, hit a like. But definitely want to hear from you if you like the video. Till next time, keep on fishing.